Hi, I'm Klaus Sailors. I'm the CEO for Family Promise National, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here speaking to you, congratulating you, thanking you. I wish it were in person. I love Washington State. I love your part of the country. I've been there a few times, and it is gorgeous. Folks are terrific. You have a wonderful community, and maybe soon I can head back out there. But for now, we're going to be doing this virtually. And I want to thank you also, not just for the great work you do, but we have a daughter-in-law that'll be coming into our family soon, and she is a native of Clark County. So I want to do a big thank you for that. And so we're going to be even more connected than just through Family Promise, me and Clark County. But let's pivot to the work of Family Promise. Last year was undoubtedly the most difficult year any of us have faced in this work. It was incredibly challenging for families. They had to deal with the health aspects. They had to deal with an economic crisis that disproportionately affected low-income families. They had to deal with all kinds of challenges around housing. And across the country last year, as the crisis unfolded, right, as we had the pandemic, we saw community after community where people did not know what to do about homelessness, about family homelessness specifically. But where Family Promise was present, we saw something very different. In other communities, people stepped back. They didn't support the families. They closed down. They didn't know what they were going to do next. But Family Promise affiliates said, what more can we do? Stepped in and accomplished not just the incredible and not just the remarkable, they really accomplished the transformational. That's what you did in Clark County, and I want to thank you so much for that. Right, we look at the ways that you address this issue. You recognize that in order to be successful, we had to accept the fact that we could not just look at ourselves as one program, as just shelters, valuable shelter was, and as incredible as it is, the congregation stepped forward and offered their space. You created programs for prevention and diversion. You enhanced your programs for stabilization. I have my notes here because I've got so many great things to talk about that I couldn't memorize them all. Right, but you've got the program FP Cares, which looks at families and says, okay, other than shelter, how can we help? Can we keep them in their housing? If they're at risk of homelessness, can we divert them into another housing arrangement so that those families, those children don't have the disruption of homelessness? That is incredible. You also have the Learning Support Center, the Rentwell classes. You're working with New Beginnings, our financial literacy curriculum. All of these stabilization programs are ensuring that long-term families not only stay in their housing, but that their children can have the kind of futures that every child deserves. It's incredible. And I think you all know this, but I was absolutely floored by it. Not surprised, but just amazed. You have served 330% more individuals in 2020 than you did in 2019. This in the most difficult time to run a family homelessness program, right? At a time that our shelter models were turned upside down, at a time of so much upheaval, you served 330% more people. That's incredible. Thank you so much for doing that. So I want to give a few shout outs in a minute, but I want to make a couple of other points here, right? So Family Promise is built on the belief that mobilizing the local community can help address family homelessness on a local level, right? That we can bring together volunteers from a lot of different elements of the community and help families who are struggling, who are facing homelessness or housing insecurity, get back on their feet, get stabilized, and be empowered towards long-term success. That's what you do on a local level, and you have 200 affiliates around the country all doing that together. So nationally, that is our effort. And just to put some stats to it, last year we served more than 177,000 people. That is the population of Salem, Oregon, a little bit down the road from you, right? That's how many children and adults, how many family members we served in 2020. And why is it that we're doing that? What are we trying to achieve? Well, of course, we want to keep families safe. We want to keep, help them be housed. We want to make sure children have meals. We want to keep families together. All these key elements. But ultimately, we're working towards a single goal. And that goal is that a child's housing status does not define their future. All right, I'm going to repeat that. A child's housing status does not define their future. Because we know the impact that homelessness and housing instability has on children and how it robs them of their opportunity. How do you study for a test if you don't have a desk, if you don't have a home, right? If you're a sixth grader that has a science test coming up, how do you study for it? If you're a parent making a meal, nutritious meal, how do you do that if you don't have a home? If you're an adult looking to go to work, well, where do you start from, right? The future begins at home. And Family Promise of Clark County has embodied that concept with the incredible work you've done, the growth that you've made, and the continuum of services, right? From prevention to shelter to stabilization that you offer. So this work is tremendous that you've done. It's tremendous the work that we have done nationally. And I want to name a few people, and this is where I'm going to go to my notes, right? I want to name Reverend Kathy Burt, Rick Cron, the entire congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Vancouver for opening their doors to the families during COVID, Pastor Jackie James, Shane Scolf, Kate Meeks, Shelley Williams, Debbie Givens, the entire congregation of Meadowglade Seventh-day Adventist Church, Kevin and Rachel Barber for their incredible partnership in the use of the Summer House for emergency shelter. Everybody involved with Family Promise of Clark County needs to be celebrated. You all can wear capes because you're all superheroes, but I just wanted to call out to those people particularly. And I wanted to conclude with this thought. So, Family Promise nationally has done incredible work. And we've really leaned in to help our affiliates like yours do more work in diversion and prevention, right? We're going to be doing work in housing. We're going to be providing support for technology, all these different areas. We've got some great workplace development partnerships happening to help upskill people to better jobs. And on a local level, you've done incredible work. And there's certainly a lot of support coming, but there is still more work to do, right? As the folks here who are running this incredible organization, and I want to shout out to the staff and to the board at Family Promise of Clark County, can tell you, there are way more families that need help than they can serve. So it is critically important that we continue to do this work. But I truly believe that the beauty of Family Promise is that while we are empowering families, we're mobilizing communities. And when you bring those two things together, that is the equation that will mean that eventually no child's future is determined by their housing status. And when we achieve that, we'll have ended family homelessness. And I want to thank you so much for not just being part of Family Promise and not just this incredible organization in Washington State doing fantastic work. I want to thank you for being leaders in a national movement. Thank you very much.